Have you ever just stopped and wondered, why are we even here? What's this all about? Well, you're not alone. For over 3,000 years, Indian philosophy has been on a quest for those very same answers. And today, we're going to dive into some of the incredible ideas they came up with.
You know the ones, right? The big questions that pop into your head late at night. Why do we suffer? What's actually true? Is there something bigger out there? These aren't just random thoughts. They are the very engine of our search for meaning, and they've been at the core of human curiosity forever.
And what's just amazing is that people have been wrestling with these exact questions for, well, a very, very long time. We're talking about a tradition of thought that's been exploring this stuff for over 3 millennia.
All right, so let's officially begin our quest. First up, we're going to look at how this tradition even approaches these massive, life-altering questions.
Before we go any further, what even is philosophy? It sounds complicated, but the word itself simply means love of wisdom. That's all it is, really. It's humanity's attempt to use our brains, logic and reason, to figure out what's going on in the universe and where we fit into the whole picture.
Okay, to really get into Indian philosophy, we've got to learn some of the lingo. Think of these next few ideas as our toolkit, the essential concepts we're going to need for the journey we're about to take.
See, a really key difference here is that in this tradition, philosophy isn't just a mental exercise. It's not just about thinking, it's about seeing. The Sanskrit word for it, darshana, literally means to see. The whole point isn't just to have an idea about truth, but to directly experience it, to realize it.
And you have to appreciate the sheer scale of this. This isn't some short-lived trend. We're talking about a continuous conversation that's been happening for over 3,300 years. That's a long time.
First tool in our kit, Dharma. A great way to think about it is like the cosmic operating system. It's the underlying order that makes everything work. And our Dharma? That's our specific role, our duty, to keep that system running smoothly, to live in harmony with it.
Next up is a big one, karma. And yeah, you've probably heard the word, but what does it really mean? At its core, it's the law of cause and effect. Every single action, and I mean every action, has a consequence. It's this idea that we are the architects of our own lives. We're in the driver's seat.
It really boils down to that old saying, right? As you sow, so you reap. Simple, but incredibly powerful. Our choices today literally build our reality tomorrow.
So, if we're the ones doing all this sowing, who exactly is the we? Who is the self? That brings us to the idea of Atman. This is the individual soul, the core you, that's seen as eternal, unchanging, that deep-down essence of who you are.
And what's the point of all this? Where are we trying to go? That's moksha. This is the ultimate goal, liberation. It means breaking free from suffering and that whole cycle of cause and effect, the cycle of rebirth driven by karma.
Now, it's really important to know that this isn't just one single path. Think of it more like a giant tree with some major branches. Right at the beginning, the road splits in two. So here's the split. On one side, you have the Astika, or Orthodox schools. They all agree that the ancient texts, the Vedas, are the ultimate authority. Then you have the Gnostika, or heterodox schools. These guys, like the Buddhists and Jains, said, we're not so sure about the Vedas, and they decided to forge their own path.
Okay, so with that basic map laid out, let's look at a few different ways to actually see that truth. We'll explore some very different solutions to these big questions. Let's start with the path of logic, the Nyaya school. I mean, think about it. If everyone has a different idea about truth, how do you know who's right? These thinkers wanted a system, a reliable, almost scientific way to test claims and prove what's actually true. It's all about verifying knowledge.
And they weren't just theoretical about it. They came up with this super practical 5-step process for making an argument. Like you start with your claim. There's a fire on the mountain. Why? Because I see smoke. What's your proof? Well, wherever there's smoke, there's fire, like in my kitchen. Apply it? Yep, that mountain definitely has smoke. Conclusion? Therefore, the mountain has fire. It's a very clear step-by-step way of thinking.
Okay, next up is a path a lot of us have heard of, yoga. But we're not just talking about physical poses here. The philosophy goes much deeper. The word yoga actually comes from a root that means to yoke or to unite. The whole idea is that our minds are usually buzzing with a million thoughts, right? And that chaos makes it impossible to see things clearly. So yoga is the discipline you use to quiet that noise and find truth in the stillness.
There's this amazing phrase from the Yoga Sutras that just nails it. Chitta vritti nirodha. It basically means stopping the chatter of the mind. That's the whole game. The path to truth for a yogi is through discipline of the mind.
All right, get ready for a pretty mind-bending one. This is from a school called Advaita Vedanta. It proposes that underneath everything we see, there is only one single reality. Just one. They call it Brahman. And here's the wild part. Your individual self, that Atman we talked about, it's not separate from Brahman. It is Brahman. You are, quite literally, the universe experiencing itself. So you're probably thinking, how is that even possible? Well, they use this brilliant analogy. Imagine you're walking in the dark, and you see what looks like a snake on the path. You jump back, your heart is pounding, your fear is 100% real. But then, someone shines a light, and you see it's just a coiled-up piece of rope. The snake was never there. It was an illusion created by the darkness. Vedanta says our entire perception of a separate world is just like that snake. Our ignorance is the darkness, and true knowledge is the light that reveals the one reality, the rope, that was there all along.
Okay, so these are fascinating ancient ideas. But what does any of this have to do with our lives, right here, right now? Well, as it turns out, a lot. Let's bring this whole quest into the modern day.
Just think about Mahatma Gandhi. His entire philosophy of nonviolence, ahimsa, didn't come out of nowhere. It's deeply rooted in these very traditions. When he famously said, "Truth is God," he wasn't just saying something poetic. He was tapping into thousands of years of this philosophical quest and using it to change the world.
And that's where we'll leave it, by bringing this quest all the way back to you. We've talked about finding truth through logic, through inner discipline, through a commitment to nonviolence. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Looking at this ancient toolkit, which of these values, which of these paths, feels like it could be useful for you, in your life, on your own quest for answers?